afternoon. My name is Alicia Carberry. I am the operations assistant in the office of Mayor Peduto, and I'm here to kick off this press conference about deconstruction. First, I want to define it. Deconstruction is taking a building apart in the reverse order that it was built in order to recover the maximum amount of materials to reuse and recycle. We're at Construction Junction because they have tirelessly encouraged the City of Pittsburgh and the Office of the Mayor to start deconstruction initiatives over the year. So I wanted to thank Mike Gable and Missy and Terry while I see them. So from that tireless encouragement, we have pulled together, over the course of the last year, 11 different people from city departments, including 301, the Department of Public Works, Procurement, Sustainability, Community Affairs, the URA adjacent, the Mayor's Office, of course, and permits, licenses, and inspections. We met to research, to find out what other cities do to educate, to incentivize and encourage their residents to do deconstruction. And we, of course, learned that one size does not fit all. Something that works in another city likely will not work here, and that deconstruction also doesn't fit all. It's not feasible in every instance, but we were able to assess our own property inventory and realize what we could do with what we already have and how to integrate some building recycling policies into our existing city operations. So the City of Pittsburgh can lead by example for this, and this is just the beginning. I'm really happy to turn it over to Construction Junction Board President Alexis Miller.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you, everyone that's here. This is an exciting day. Construction Junction has been benefiting the community and the planet as a nonprofit organization since 1999. CJ has been advocating for deconstruction and reuse policy for as long. So the staff and board could not be happier to see this important step move forward. It has been a long-time priority, including holding deconstruction advisory committee meetings, naming deconstruction as one of the top priorities of the strategic plan of Construction Junction, and working with the city to promote policies that can make a true impact on expanding the incredible benefits that salvage and material reuse can provide. At its core, CJ's work is about preserving value in everyday objects and sharing that value with the community. There's value to the person or organization that reuses the object. There's value to the people employed as part of deconstructing, transporting, managing, processing, and selling the reused product. There's value to preserving Pittsburgh's unique and beautiful architectural details, craftsmanship, and built history. Today's announcement of city policies is pivotal in expanding this important work, but there is a lot of work to be done. Today is much easier to throw building materials in a dumpster bound for a landfill than it is to salvage and reuse materials. We must all keep working together and bringing more partners and advocates to the table until it is easier to salvage and reuse materials than it is to throw them away. CJ is grateful to have a seat at this table, and as board chair, I promise that not only our staff, but also our board members are eager to lend our expertise and enthusiasm to continue supporting this and future efforts towards a less wasteful and more value-focused society. Thank you so much. Next is Mike Gable, Construction Junction Executive Director.
Sorry, we're making it nice so it looks better.
No worries. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. This is an exciting day for me. I've been working in the reuse building materials space since 1999, since the beginning. It's been a great adventure, and it's been the privilege of my last 22 years to be able to be involved with this organization and to serve the community in this way. And I have been having this conversation. The first conversation I had with a city official was Mayor Murphy, who shopped here frequently, and really wanted to see this move forward, and we just couldn't make it happen. So I'm incredibly appreciative through Alicia's hard work, from the mayor's commitment, that we are standing here today and announcing that we are going down this road. And Construction Junction's mission is to promote conservation through the reuse of building materials. Resource consumption has tripled since the 1970s, and construction and building materials are one of the biggest consumers of those resources. And then we turn around and toss them in the landfill to the degree that about 30 to 35% of the waste that goes into the landfill are those materials. And we are here to intervene. We are here to give those materials new life, to keep them circulating in the community, and to create as much value as possible. And not just environmental value. Our deconstruction efforts over the last few years have included job training opportunities. And I would really like to call out Jamar Bay and the South Hilltop Group, who have worked with us on a number of our biggest deconstruction projects over the last 2 years. And it's been really great to be able to partner with a community organization and to create jobs. And that's another part of this initiative that I think is really exciting, is that if you're going to deconstruct something or salvage something, it takes more hands to do that. At a time when we need to be creating opportunity and jobs, this is a great activity for that. The material comes back here, and we're able to create more jobs from that material. So I think at the end of the day, the most important thing about this initiative is that we are planting a seed. And maybe not every property that we look at is worthy of being deconstructed, but the city is sending a message that we're going to change business as usual. We're going to change the idea that waste is inevitable. And we are going to look at every single project that we have the resources to do to determine what in that building can actually be salvaged. And if the structure works well, we may take it piece by piece, all the way down to grade, all the way down to the ground. So thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the support that this community has given to Construction Junction over the last 20 years. And thank you, Mayor and your staff, for writing the next chapter in the reuse of building materials.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Kinter. I am the Director of the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections. Thank you, Mayor Peduto, and the city agencies that have taken part in the Deconstruction Task Force on this project to provide leadership here. I also want to take some time to thank our dedicated staff at the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, including our inspectors that are responsible for condemning structures and evaluating them, our on-call staff that respond to 911 structural emergencies, and our demolition supervisor, Rob Columbus, and our assistant director of operations, Mark Mariani, who work to ensure the timely demolition of unsafe structures in the city. Together, all of our staff at PLI work to ensure the safety of our built environment in construction and through code enforcement. At PLI, our focus has traditionally been demolishing the worst of the worst condemned structures. With deconstruction, we now have another tool in our toolbox to start evaluating structures for demolition before imminent danger and to deconstruct them in an environmentally competent way. In the city of Pittsburgh, we have about 1,900 condemned structures and buildings to manage. Condemnation does not necessarily mean it needs to be demolished, just like deconstruction is not fit for all properties. But we're getting a better handle and understanding what structures should be demolished and which could be eligible for deconstruction. In order to have that understanding, PLI has adopted a programmatic approach to scoring condemned structures to get a better understanding of the elements of those buildings and to appropriately plan with the limited resources that we have. And in addition to those structural scores, we're also working with the Department of City Planning to have a better data and approaches for structures that are condemned but may have some significant historical, community, or architectural elements that we want to save in buildings and use deconstruction as a tool to do so. Our ability to do this work and really wrap our arms around this pool of condemned structures is thanks to our robust and modern one-stop PGH program, which we use to issue permits and licenses, but which we also use to manage our internal workflows, including code enforcement. And I want to take some time to thank Mayor Peduto for his support of the one-stop PGH system and its continuing growth. So while PLI has our eyes focused on demolishing structures for our safety and to ensure life safety for residents in the city of Pittsburgh, we also want to be the leaders in best practices of demolition. We know that demolition waste takes up a lot of landfill space, and we're looking forward to working with community partners and sharing our insights in deconstruction to the contractor community, so that we can all approach a more sustainable development and deconstruction and demolition that minimizes environmental hazards and minimizes environmental waste. Thank you, and it's my honor to announce Mayor Peduto next. Or excuse me, it's Chief Lane next.
Thank you, Director Kinter. My name is Majestic Lane. It's my honor to serve as Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief Equity Officer for Mayor Peduto. Today, really when thinking about this executive order and what's to come from this, you think about deconstruction, but really what I think about is the idea of destroying but rebuilding, right? Like how we take these things down matter, and then what we rebuild matters. And this gives us a space to reframe how we do business across the board. We're destroying in the healthiest way, and we're working with community to build in the healthiest way as we move forward. I can't think of a better way to look at people, place, and planet, and performance, frankly, than this initiative. Planet, obviously, because we all know of the impending crisis and how much we're creating and the impact it's having on our systems. Place, because many of the communities that we serve have had things just put in the ground for so long. And not only is it environmentally harmful, it has driven up the cost of development, driven up the cost of rebuilding in neighborhoods, driven up the cost of what we have to do when we invest in place. So it's really important that we do this. And then thirdly, but most importantly, people. Right, it's an honor to know the people, some of the people who are working on some of these projects from the South Hilltop group, like Jamar, Larry, and really seeing people who are giving back to their community, really hitting a triple bottom line in ways that really is special and forerunning for places all across the country, taking these skills, taking these abilities, and applying them back to communities that need them, that have been neglected, and also now raising them up. Mayor Peduto often talks about that equity is not just a thing you do, but it's written into everything that we do in the city, and making sure that that happens. And I think Alicia and the entire team and administration and folks at Construction Junction have done an amazing job making sure that equity and thinking about people and thinking about some of the mistakes that government has made in the past, the mistakes that institutions have made, that we work forward together to make sure that those things not only are not done anymore, but that we have a new way. So couldn't be more honored and couldn't be more glad to be here on this day as we make this transition. And with that, I will introduce Mayor Peduto.
Thanks, Chief. Where's Alicia? Come on up here for a second. I first want to thank Alicia. It was through her effort that they were actually able to be here today. This has been an idea, as Mike had said, that's been talked about for a lot of years. It's a good idea, and it's one that we should have been able to get behind, but because of different reasons, we weren't until we had somebody who took it on and then brought all of us together. And by doing so, was able to create a program that Pittsburgh never had. I wanted to just thank you personally, but also give you the opportunity to thank those folks who, along with you, working in city government, put not only their backs behind this effort, but their hearts.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't get to that in my remarks, did I? Oh boy, yes. I mean, thank you to everyone who's part of our working group, who's provided support every step of the way, answered all of my annoying emails and follow-up calls, especially our Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, but all of the creative people working in, I mentioned 11 different city departments who each have a hand in building, demolition, and construction at some level at the city.
Did you want to mention anybody that's here?
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Of course. Hirsch Marenstein and Ernest Rajakone and Jethro Cook of 311 have been, Ernest and Hirsch from the mayor's office and Jess from 311. Thank you so much for your momentum and motivation and ideas, and excited to keep working on this. Thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but like I've said before, it's teamwork that makes the dream work. So what we're here to announce is a different way to imagine the demolition of buildings within our city. These are buildings that are a part of a history. They've been a part of a community. They have stood there and tested the time and weather. They were the place where families were created and where families lost members. In some cases, they were the places where communities gathered together, at churches or at restaurants or at other types of third places. And they have an intrinsic part on the very fabric of Pittsburgh. We've had students from the University of Pittsburgh who've talked about an idea of branding as we start to deconstruct these buildings and putting stamps on them that say the longitude and the latitude of where that building stood, so that when you're at that restaurant and you're looking down at that table, you can then look it up and find out what neighborhood that building came from, and that it's living another life for Pittsburgh. What a wonderful way to think about it. We don't think twice when we get that plastic pop bottle and put it in the blue container in our kitchen. But unfortunately, we don't think twice when we take an entire building and bury it under the ground. All of that usefulness of its second life, we completely ignore. Today, we're changing that. Today, we're not only doing it for those environmental reasons, we're doing it for the public health reasons. Because when we demolish a building, airborne particles become a part of a neighborhood. And those airborne particles are breathed by children. And where are we demolishing the most buildings? In our lowest income neighborhoods. And why do our children in our lowest income neighborhoods have higher rates of asthma? Because of the way that we implement our rules. So we're changing the rules for their lungs. We're changing the rules so that when we demolish that building, we're not allowing the lead from the paint to go into the dirt and to contaminate the land for generations. And we'll be able to take it and be able to treat it and to be able to do it in a better way for public health. But there's another part of this beyond the environment and beyond public health. And Jameer, where are you? If you can come up. I've gotten to really get to know Jameer over the past year, and then you start to find out that you've known him all the years for 7 years. He's the person that takes these programs and actually implements them in the neighborhoods. We spoke yesterday, we came together as a community to talk about violence and gun violence in our neighborhoods. And we said that it's not going to be solved simply by adding more police, that we have to have opportunity for our children. Mr. Bay is the example of how that happens and how a program like this can help to change the lives of countless kids from the hilltop communities. He's been doing it, and I just wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about that third and most critical part of this initiative: opportunities and jobs in the communities that need it the most.
Well, I'm not going to get too long-winded on this, but in the work that we do, when we set out to save lives of children, the biggest barrier to that was opportunity. And you cannot save lives without opportunity. If you have folks that only have one thing, and if you take that thing away from them, they don't have anything at all. You have to compensate. So like the mayor says, the best way to take a gun out of a young man's hand is to replace it with a check. The best way to take a kid off the corner and out of the streets is to give him an opportunity, create a situation where he can do better for himself. Hopelessness is the killer. Unemployment is the killer. If the dope man is the only one that's giving out jobs in the neighborhood, where do you think the young people are going to go? They're going to go to the dope man. So we have to be, as a city, as a country, as a world, we have to be intentional about creating these opportunities. It is irresponsible to develop in a city that is in peril without considering the people that are on the bottom. They have to be at the foremost of the planning. They have to be a part of the structure. They have to be a part of the foundation. It is irresponsible to develop in a city if you're building on rubble. You have to first create a solid foundation, and that foundation starts with creating opportunities for the people that are at the bottom, at the people that are at the foundation.
Say it better, and you live it by experience. That's what we're here to announce today. A different way of looking at blight and condemned buildings is not simply something that we go in with a bulldozer for one day, and then haul away, and then put under the land, but recognizing it as a part of our history, as a way that we can do it more environmentally friendly, as a way that we can do it to lessen the risks of public health, and in a way we can do it to create opportunities in the neighborhoods where these actions are taking place. Today we begin the process of building through deconstruction.
By the way, we're in day 2 of Earth Week. Yesterday we announced the plan to install over 200 charging stations for electric vehicles over the next 5 years throughout the city of Pittsburgh. Today we finally make the leap from demolition to deconstruction.